In this video, we're going to look at a Peruvian 1891 Mauser rifle. And you may say to yourself, hey, this looks a lot like the Argentinian 1891 rifle, which we have right here. And there's a very good reason why it does. I guess if we go back in history, these are the early Mauser rifles. Mauser made the 1889, I believe, rifle, which had this type of magazine, this drop-down magazine. It had a metal handguard or jacket over the barrel and was adopted by the Belgians. So usually that's called the Belgian Mauser of 1889, I believe. Well, by 1891, Mauser made another variant, which used the same magazine and bolt system and I covered that in detail when I did a video on this rifle here, the 1891 Mauser. I'll put a card to that, and you can go and look at them old videos. So, what the story on this gun is the Argentines ordered some 1891 rifles in a series of contracts. And when they were getting towards the end, which was almost in 1900 or so, they ordered these late. They ran out of money. So, other than be financially embarrassed or whatever, the last few production runs of these guns, they came up with the idea of selling them to the Peruvians, because both of them kind of had a conflict going on with Chile. And, you know, these countries weren't big, they weren't on the international scene, sending troops off, you know, to Europe or whatever, or Asia. So mostly these countries were pretty much not that rich or powerful, and any type of military actions they had were either internal or these little border disputes where there were wars, you know, probably frequently little small wars where it was with neighboring countries. So they didn't have giant armies or anything like that, but they tried to keep the technological edge, which this rifle gave them. And I believe they say that this was the first bolt-action smokeless powder rifle gun that Peru adopted. So, let's take a look at the gun. There are some small differences between this and the Argentine Mauser, and we'll look at them side by side. Okay, up close. All of it is a standard 1891 Mauser. The magazine, the bolt system, like I said, I covered it in detail. The bolt release, and the first difference, you can't really see it because it's almost been polished off. These receivers on original guns from the factory were in the white, so this gun has been reworked a few times. And when they re-blued it, and the crest is up in here, you can barely see it. But some of it is still present. Okay? And you can see where they wrenched the new barrel on. This barrel is also a replacement. But other than that, it's an 1891 Mauser. The second big glaring thing is it has this, I can't pronounce it in German, but the old roller coaster style rear sight. It was on the original German 98 Mausers of World War I. That's where you'll see this sight. But there also was on the export guns, it was a standard sight. And you'll find it on these Peruvian guns, which kind of makes them unusual. I believe, now somebody said that these sights were used, they're also on the model of 1909 because they put these sights on when they recalibrated to the Spitzer bullet. Also, they say that the length of the handguard is a little different. But on the Argentine, you have 2 wires in that, and we'll get them side by side and look. So this handguard is different, but I think the only thing I can see here is it uses 2 pieces of wire instead of 1, so it must have a lip on this rear sight. And your standard barrel bands, bayonet lug, and then up on the front here in the muzzle, there's a little something different here. This is like a sleeve added on. You can see, hold on a second. This is like, I try to get it to focus on the end of that. We'll do that. There's a sleeve that holds this front sight on. And there was something about a bayonet they mounted on this or something that they had to modify this barrel for something up here at the muzzle. And I believe it was because of the bayonet. Alright, now we'll take a look at the other side of the gun. Alright, let's take a look at the receiver markings. As you see, the receiver is marked Mauser Model Argentine 1891, and it has all the little symbols for Argentina, the clasp hands and that. You can barely see it, but if you go back here you can see the little hat, the star, and there's the clasped hands. Okay, so it has all the Argentinian markings still on it. And like I said, because the absence of a serial number on the barrel and them wrench marks, this barrel was added on. These guns were all rebuilt and kept in service for many years with the police, militias and that, when it was no longer a frontline military gun. Okay, and they were kept in service for many years afterwards. They were all rebarreled, refurbished. And actually, even though this gun is quite worn, the barrel and rifling on this is fairly good and sharp, and it shoots well. There, we'll take a close-up look at the sight. You got the 2 little locking bars on there. Now, I had to get some of these parts and replacements of springs. This thing was loose when I first got it. And you have a little, I don't know if you can see it, arrow indicator there. And I guess that is meters. I'm not quite sure. But that's the major differences. And like I said, when we get down here, it's this thing here on the end of the barrel, this front sight and this little sleeve that comes down to here, this step in the barrel is different. I don't know what bayonet, if it takes a different bayonet or not, or what the story is. I've heard conflicting things depending on whose video or website you go to. So I could be wrong on that. So let's take a look at it and the Argentine rifle side by side for the differences. Okay, as I said, the bolt release, receivers are all the same, with the exception Peruvian crest, and that would have had the Argentinian crest. But this gun was sold as surplus back in the 50s, and they ground the crest off. And these Argentine guns were sold like in Montgomery wards or department stores and that. And so that's why that happened there. But this also probably has been refurbished because the receiver is not in the white, it's blued, and it's blued quite well. So then we go to the sights. You see the difference in the sights there. This is the Argentine sight, and that is the Peruvian sight. Little differences. And if we look along the side here, there's where your barrel has a serial number on it, and this one there has a serial number down there, but none on the barrel, meaning it was a replacement barrel. Also, this rifle has a W prefix, which fits in correctly to the last batches that were switched over to Peruvian, the Peruvian government. So that all comes out correct. And there's a look at the profile of the sights from the side. the difference there. Now we're going to look at the handguards. On the Argentine 1891, there's two pieces of copper wire that hold that handguard down and the barrel band. Now this one here, somebody says you can see the Peruvian one is shorter. Someone said the Argentine was shorter. They got it mixed up in their description. They didn't have them side by side. But the Peruvian one is shorter, and like I said, there must be a lip under here because there isn't that second piece of wire. But it's still held on with the wire, which you can see it here. And that's what runs on these. When you pull them apart, you can see that. Barrel bands are about the same there. You know, everything looks about the same until we get down here to the muzzle. And like I told you, you can see where this is turned back, okay, to accommodate, I guess, the ring of the bayonet, but this is all solid. There's only one little step, and then the sight is attached to the barrel here. This is kind of done in a different manner. There's a whole sleeve, and this sight is attached to the sleeve, which kind of goes on to the barrel. I'll stand these up and take a look at them from the muzzle end where I can get a focus on it. Okay, trying to focus on the muzzles is getting kind of difficult, but here you see the Argentine on the right. Okay, and how that is all there in one piece. Now where the sleeve there, you can see where the sleeve is, and it's like the sleeve with the sight attached goes down to that other step in the barrel. I had a little trouble with this. That sleeve was loose. It didn't come off, but it was twisting around. And I had to go and peen it in several places to get it to stabilize, then move the sight back. So that was one problem I had with this gun. Well, that's about the differences. I'll make a conclusion, and then I'll tell you about the videos to follow where I shoot the rifle. Alright, so the Peruvian Mauser, I've been looking for one of these for years because they're just unusual. It's something a little different to shoot and try out. And I finally found one. And I took it out, and I'm going to make 3 videos after this on shooting it. First trip to the range, it's going to be a short one because I realized I had a broken firing pin. Second trip to the range, I was at the 100-yarder, and that's when I realized my front sight was loose, and that's why I was having these wild variations. I was shooting, at that time, the second and third trip, I'm shooting side by side with the Argentine 91. And third trip to the range, even though this shoots somewhat high with the factory ammo, I'm going to try to make a reload and get a little bit more tighter groups with it, a little bit more consistency, I think. Both of these guns, this Peruvian one and the Argentine, have beautiful bores. Nice rifling, no pitting, not gray, nothing. Nice sharp bores. So they shoot well. Okay. And with Kentucky windage, I was able to hit a bull on a target at 100 and then again at 200. Of course, on that 12-inch paper, I had a big spread on there, but one of them bullets went in the middle. Okay, and that's, I guess that's all you need is the lucky one. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, like I said, if you can, subscribe. You know, if you like what you're seeing, at least subscribe. And if you can, do some support with $1 a month to help me keep the content and bring in all these different unusual guns and fooling around with them to you for your viewing pleasure. Thank you.